The MJ doc is out April 19th. We all can't wait. The 10-part series. Who do you think Jordan's biggest rival was?
To me, from an historical perspective, the name comes into mind as Kobe Bryant. We heard Charles Barkley on Get Up yesterday talking about Kobe was the greatest that he'd ever seen. I think when you're talking about all-around basketball players, that's a different discussion. Obviously, LeBron's in that discussion, and Max can talk about that later. I mean, for me, when I think about a rival to MJ, it's somebody that was trying to be everything MJ was, and then some. He was trying to capture those numbers of titles, doing it the way that Jordan did it from a stylistic perspective in terms of being at the same position and doing the kind of things that he has done. Kobe Bryant was an assassin. Kobe Bryant went about the business of shooting more than 20 times a game in 13 or 14 seasons before he got himself hurt with that Achilles tear at the near the end of his career over the last couple of seasons or so. I mean, this dude would launch and launch and launch. One season when Kobe averaged 35, he launched 27 shots a game that season. He was going after it, and he was clearly an assassin, wasn't trying to be anything else. If you asked him to play the point, sure, he could, but really he was about annihilating, assassinating, and demoralizing you, and that was MJ to a T. He was trying to take your heart out by any means necessary, whatever it took. And usually in his mind, like it was in Kobe's mind, it was to score the basketball and then go about the business of shutting you down, which would explain why Kobe was on the all-defensive team at least 9 times. Those are the things that I think about. When I think about MJ and somebody playing like him, trying to be him, trying to do the things that he did, ultimately, the name that comes to my mind above anybody else is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, that's answering a different question. Who's the most like Michael Jordan? That's
Not
Kobe
to me,
Bryant.
it's a rival.
Clearly, same height.
That's a rival.
Same game, same position,
It's a
almost
rival.
put up the same numbers, same coach. He almost had the same number of championships. He was, and by the way, he takes 24. He's trying to be one better than Jordan. He was one less than Jordan, but it was admirable, the chase. Imagine seeing the greatest player of all time, being the same size, playing the same position, having the same coach say, I'm going to be better than him. And he almost got there. Kobe was virtually Michael Jordan, but not quite. But I don't consider that his greatest rival. Maybe he was before LeBron came around. First, there was no one playing against Jordan who was even a legitimate rival in the sense that they were almost on Jordan's level. Jordan obliterated the league. It's absurd that anyone ever got an MVP except for him. He was so much better than his contemporaries that, like living through the era, you knew no one had a shot. He played in one Game 7 against the Knicks during that championship run that I can recall. And gave him 42, by the way, for the win in that series. Never went to a Game 7 in the finals. Stephen A., Karl Malone, and Patrick Ewing don't have rings because of Michael Jordan. But when you look who really was his greatest rival or is his greatest rival, the answer's clear. It's LeBron James. Precisely because he's not a 6'6" shooting guard. So the comparison is not as apples to apples. When you can compare someone apples to apples, Jordan, they lose. You know, Kobe came close, but not quite. But when you tilt the playing field in a way where it's an asymmetrical comparison, it gets more difficult. LeBron more the facilitator, bigger and stronger than Jordan. By the way, not done winning championships, you would think. And really, the only guy who's come along since Jordan where you can legitimately say, is he the greatest player of all time? Now, you and I believe the answer is no because his peak was not Jordan's peak. But given the longevity, how the peak was almost Jordan, and then how much longer the career has lasted on a high level, on the highest possible level, he will have a generation who swear he is the greatest. You know, he's the first guy to come along since Jordan where he will have a generation swearing he's the GOAT, and they will be able to marshal reasonable evidence to support their claim. For that reason, I think LeBron is actually, partly because he escaped the way Jordan played, because he wasn't exactly the same kind of player, LeBron actually represents Jordan's greatest rival.
Well, first of all, based on your synopsis, I could easily say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar then. But obviously, because they're completely different players, I'm not thinking along those lines. I'm not thinking rivalry. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA, the lone player with one unstoppable move that was never resolved. He was a 19-time All-Star. He was a 6-time NBA champion, 6-time MVP, et cetera, et cetera. to use your breakdown, I could easily say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but that's not what I'm looking at. Because I can't point to anybody that rivaled Jordan while Jordan was playing a specific rivalry. It was supposed to be Clyde Drexler. We saw how Jordan obliterated that, all right? You would have liked to have thought it would be somebody like an Isaiah Thomas. Didn't work out quite that well, even though the Pistons did share a level of success against the Chicago Bulls that people want to ignore, that they did have, all right? Joe Dumars was a really tough defender against Michael Jordan, as tough as anybody else was, if not tougher, but clearly he wasn't on Michael Jordan's level. So as a result of that, what am I able to look at? It's the combination of your accomplishments along with your style of play. I could easily go the LeBron route if the Max Kellermans of the world didn't religiously remind us that LeBron James was more like Magic Johnson. He was a more athletic, more offensive-minded version of Magic Johnson. And I forgot who you said had a baby. Magic Johnson and somebody else had a baby that was LeBron James, to use your analogy. Yes. Right. Okay, that's fine. But you also highlighted how LeBron plays. So I'm thinking about how MJ played and who tried to play that way. And the closest, even in Jordan's mind, because he publicized his thoughts, was Kobe. And that's where the rivalry element comes into play, because there was nobody that rivaled him that played against him.
Yeah. Look, I don't think there have ever been two great athletes who have played the same sport more similar than Jordan and Kobe. Kobe virtually was Jordan, but you can't say 2.0 because he didn't improve on the design. You know, he came so close to it.
That doesn't mean he wasn't a rival,
LeBron changed it. I agree. I think pre-LeBron, the answer would be Kobe. You know, because Bird and Magic just gave it up to MJ at a certain point.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.